Joe couldn't keep his hands off barely legal girls, making him tonight's big loser.
So like a lot of people, I'm a massive fan of Impractical Jokers. I've literally had a picture of Sal Volcano on my wall every single video. This Joe Gatto situation is so interesting to me because he plays like this family man on TV.
Look how red his face is.
Why is your lip sweating?
Because obviously, you know, this is a game. I have to kiss her. It means nothing. I really don't want to lose with this one.
You're gonna lose even bigger.
Here comes the plane for the landing.
But behind the scenes, that seems to be far from the truth, as he seems to be using his fame to take advantage of young, impressionable girls to have sex.
I got sexually assaulted by Joe Gatto.
Also, I started my first dose of Adderall today and it's literally just starting to kick in right now. So this is gonna be a fun little concoction, I think. So the Impractical Jokers are a long-time comedy group, first known as the Tenderloins on YouTube, where they made comedy skits. At the same time as the Tenderloins were kind of taken off, they finally got a show greenlit, the Impractical Jokers. Now this show is one of the biggest successes in history, spanning 12 seasons. Well, maybe. Season 12 is in production now. I don't know if that's going to happen.
Don't worry, season 12 premieres this summer. We're filming it right now.
Of what show, though?
Impractical. Oh, I didn't.
Jokers. I was Impractical Jokers season 12.
The show we're on.
Yeah, because there's other finales in.
I have too much makeup on.
Yeah, there's other finales and there's other.
Not to me. Not to me.
Okay.
Lost. It had a good finale.
They also make a lot of money from board games, toys, a movie, and even a full-on cruise ship. Because I'm a massive fan of the show, and I'm also absolutely geeked off 20 milligrams of Adderall right now, I did a massive deep dive into Joe Gatto's past, and there's been signs for years that Joe Gatto has been doing some bad things. It's like actually really disturbing. So the first time Joe's infidelity was questioned was on the actual Impractical Joker Reddit. For fans of the show were questioning his infidelity 7 years ago. A user posted, "Murr says we're lovely, not creepy," and a picture of Murr. Then she comments under her post saying, "We also had sent the video to Joe on Snapchat and he video called us after the show in case you guys weren't jealous enough already." And then one user says, "Tell us more," and this is when it gets weird, everyone. He tried calling me a few times before. I noticed and grabbed my roommate Amy to come talk to him. Then we chatted for a while about fairly standard stuff. His dead dog, keeping Portland weird, dude jerking on a Charlotte, etc. At one point he joked about us being pretty girls who live together and that we should be in a pillow fight. We laughed and joked about it. The conversation continued in other directions until I called my roommate out for filming me talking to him, and he said, "Amy's filming, I'm out," and he dropped the call. So as soon as Amy started filming, he immediately dropped the call. Fucking hell. Then I shot him a message apologizing and he was really nice about it, said "silly Amy," and then asked if we want to come to his hotel room for a pillow fight. We didn't want to go to his room, but we also didn't want to stop talking to him, so we danced around the subject for a bit, joked about inviting Q or maybe Larry if he could come. He didn't respond to the Larry joke, so we said goodnight and he said goodnight back, and that was it. All in all, he was really nice and fun to talk to. Just wanted a couple girls around to pillow fight in his room, which you know who doesn't. And then the comment under it, "Joe is married. Why is he inviting random chicks to his room? Was Joe trying to fuck you guys?" Now reading this, Joe was 1,000,000% trying to fuck these guys. Like, it's so obvious. She's writing it like the start of a sex story, and you can tell he knows how to dance around the situation. Like, he started talking about little sexual remarks. He called them pretty, like he's putting little stuff out and seeing how they land. She literally wrote a paragraph into how she was nearly manipulated by Joe Gatto into sleeping with him. This is completely fucked up. And at the time, this had like no views, no likes. It only has a few comments because the thread is locked ears. So it only has 5 comments on the thread. That's how small it was. So that's the first instance online, at least as we know today, of Joe being creepy with fans. And it went under the radar at the time, obviously, because no one knew that he was this type of guy and it was just a one-off instance. It definitely seems weird, but I mean, that girl could be lying or anything. Like, it didn't seem that deep at the time. Nothing actually happened. But now we get on to Joe leaving the show and how weird that was. Because if you remember, when Joe left the show, it was very abrupt and like out of nowhere. The way he left the show is he posted a picture on Instagram of him on stage, and there's no point in reading the whole thing, but he basically goes over that him and his wife have split and he's gonna take time off the show to be with his kids. That sounds great. He's taking time apart to focus on his kids because he's been too focused on the show for so long. He's just put so much time and effort into the show. Now he has to rekindle his love with his wife, which he did. They got back together in 2023. Update on his marriage as well. He got his name removed from the company that he owned with his wife. They replaced his name and got a new logo and removed him from the business. So I don't think the marriage is going too well. That's just a prediction though, I can't like for sure say. But there's a major thing that happened when Joe left the show that no one is talking about. I don't know how I remembered this because I never remember anything. Like, I can't remember what I had for dinner yesterday. But I remember when Joe left Impractical Jokers, there was a few posts being like, why are they cutting scenes out of the episodes? Like, what happened to this scene where Joe was massaging lotion on this woman? It's gone. That's a bit weird that he's left and now they're cutting out scenes. And I was like, that is a bit weird, and moved on. Now that all the new stuff has come out, it's kind of being like, did they know more back then? And it seems they did know more, because I found this article after much searching. HBO Max and True TV reportedly remove Impractical Joker content after Joe Gatto quits the series. So they say since Joe Gatto has announced his exit, his face and name have been steadily removed from the show's website and social channels. It's also appeared that some of the sketches, including Gatto, have been removed as well. So fair play to comicbook.com. They were on this in January 6th of 2022. So like, they were there early. Also, there's some Reddit posts that I found about it, but they're not very big. So it has no upvotes, meaning people have actually downvoted it. And they say, clips featuring Gatto in compromising situations have been removed from True TV's site as well as HBO Max. The removed episodes include skits that show Gatto massaging and kissing unknown strangers as part of a prank. Is he getting #MeToo? Here's another post of someone basically saying that they don't think that they removed the Joe clips because they're trying to be more politically correct. It's because Joe has probably done something like cheat on his wife, which he is right. Wikipedia also have a little piece on the IJ Wikipedia about it, basically saying after Joe left in December 2021, there was 8 episodes pulled from broadcast and one of those episodes was still on streaming. But then a year later, in 2022, the exact date is not known, 2 more episodes were pulled, then 2 other episodes were pulled from Hulu. There does seem to be additional episodes that still air just with clips of Joe cut out, but no one has a list of what ones those are. So all the allegations against Joe Gatto probably proven to be true, and the countless pieces of evidence over the years from way before he got exposed stacking up against him, you have to think, did the Jokers know? Because, I mean, 3 years ago he left the show strategically, it seems. And the thing I'm struggling with is, does that make the Jokers bad if they knew about Joe's actions and didn't say anything? And I don't think it would necessarily be bad if Joe left the show and he was never mentioned from them again. They completely distanced themselves from Joe, but they didn't do that one bit. Now, this is something I thought I'd never have to do, and this is going to be very hard for me, but it has to be done. Sal Vulcano has had Joe Gatto on his podcast 3 times in the past 2 years. The latest episode was the 4th of September 2023, which is uncomfortably close to the time where the alleged SA happened. Which, if Sal knew that Joe was doing stuff like this, looks very bad, because he's literally enabling the behavior. Please, Sal, please, I didn't know. Please, 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 please. This is the bit that makes me sad, because I like Sal. Think that he'd promote Joe Gatto knowing that he's sleazy. It doesn't seem like something he would do, but the evidence is pointing to the contrary, and I'm gonna believe the evidence, right? Something that I just found out that's even worse, he was a secret guest at the Impractical Joker live show in New York last year. So they promoted him in front of the biggest crowd they could have. I just really hope they didn't know about the allegations. But he did get heckled at one of his comedy shows about Joe Gatto, and I don't know how I feel about his reaction.
I want to have fun. This isn't the fun part. So, it is what it is. If you want to take the next hour and a half instead of laughing and have a back and forth, you and I. You scream at me, and I'll talk on the mic. We have to. But let's move on.
I do think Sal handled the heckling very well, because he's right, it really isn't the right place to talk about it. There's definitely a better place to address it. So him moving on in that scenario does work if, and that's if, he does address it. If he says, oh, this isn't the right place to address it, and then doesn't address it ever, that's like, well, Sal, you're only, I mean, it's better than nothing, you know what I mean? Like, address it here and, you know. So there's comments under the Reddit post of this video saying that they were there when Sal got heckled about Joe, and before this guy started recording, Sal did say that, listen man, what he did was shitty. So some people are claiming that's what Sal said, but there's also people in the comments claiming that he didn't say that and he said the situation was shitty, which is different, because if he's saying the situation is shitty, it could mean that, I mean, Joe's in the clear, that's what he's saying. But if he did say, yeah, what Joe did was shitty, that's great. And Sal, I'm just so excited for your new podcast coming out, new solo podcast. I'll be tuning in episode 1 for sure, man. But at the end of the day, the 3 or the 2 Jokers really just have to talk about it. Like, the Joe accusations are nearly 2 weeks old, the Murr accusations a week old. There's enough time to address it. Like, we don't need a whole rigmarole. Please just come out and say something, you know? Silence really speaks volumes on the internet, and if you don't speak, or the people on the internet or people on Reddit who don't like you are gonna speak up louder than the people who do like you. So it's really sad, because they were always positioned themselves as 4 wholesome high school friends who went to Christian high school together that are just in it for the laughs. But that definitely does not seem to be true for at least some of them. And I just really hope I hope Sal's okay for 1, and I hope Sal had nothing to do with it for 2. I hope Q's alright. Q, I'm really thinking about you right now. You're also one of my favourites. Hang in there, buddy, it's gonna be grand. The only one who hasn't been silent on social media is Murr, who's posting his tour dates. And if you zoom in on his top, it genuinely says, I've had a good run. By the way, Murr's the one being accused of the 16-year-old. You think he would be the one being quiet? Obviously his lawyer probably told him to be quiet, and they're all being told to be quiet. Because Impractical Jokers was a massive part of my childhood, and I just feel like they do owe the fans of 15 years a little bit of an explanation, you know? Hey, but Sal, listen man, I'll still be listening to that solo podcast you're doing. Still excited for that, man.